We're live, but I gotta tweak the settings just a bit just to get everything lined up. Because I'm guessing that it's not capturing Zoom. It's not capturing Zoom. Of course not.
Sweet.
Give me a mic check, Jeff.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can.
Ooh, I can hear myself too.
You can hear yourself. That's not good.
Let me see now. I could for a second, but I'm not hearing it now, so maybe it was just a crossover thing. I can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, no, I
There you
figured out what's going on. Hold on one second. Give me another mic check.
go. What do you want to talk about today? We're
Okay.
going to do some search vectors, some PG vectors, some
No, this is
compose
fine.
vectors.
It did the thing that it did the reverse thing, since I actually did it the correct way and started the Zoom call before I started the live stream this time in Ecamm. It's piping everything through my audio interface, which is good, but that also means that like the Zoom audio is also going through there. Um, okay, and then the screen. Why is it not showing the screen?
Streaming's hard.
Streaming is
Glad you're
like
doing it.
streaming is way harder than I'd like to think it is. But luckily luckily I'm going to get good at this eventually.
There you go.
Either that or actually this could work fine, cuz what I can do is I can just go and share not that screen, the other screen. That's the wrong screen.
Guess I
That's
should get
the
the project up too, just in case I need
ignore.
to do something.
They'll be reading our.
I do hear a little bit of myself for some reason. It's not too bad, but it just seems like when I start talking or stop talking, then there's a little blip, blip, blip.
Oh, that's weird. Cuz
I
it's
don't, it's, I don't think it's going to throw me off. I don't know if there's a way to verify that other people don't hear it too.
yeah. We get some people in chat. They can tell us if it's going well or not, and then I
Okay.
can trying to get all the pieces here.
I don't remember what I called this thing.
Django transcription demo, something like that.
J transcription app. That's
Oh, is that
what my
it?
brain thought Friday.
There we go. I'll do it this way, and then I'll just have to edit some of this to not be my FaceTime and be my webcam. There we go. And then we'll edit this to be Jeff. There we go. All right. Like you said, streaming is hard. Okay, so I have done a few things, and I think we're in a good spot for all of it. How do I hide this? Little zoom thing is like in the way. It's like right in the middle here. Yeah, go over here somewhere. All right, so I've as you can see here in my setup, I've done some things. Um, I had to. There's a fix that I need to push up actually, and what I'll we'll do that just to show what that looks like. It was I was trying to figure out the just command things for that transcript, like when I was reaching out to you the other time, and it just wasn't working. Um, Turns out there was like
Are we,
another.
are we live now, by the way? We're
Yeah,
streaming?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There was a
So is it worth kind of like mentioning what was wrong? Like we basically wrote the transcript to work under Mac OS, and then the project itself was running under Docker, and there's not a way to run them both together. So
yeah.
we just went ahead and kind of changed it so you could run it outside because we're using an MLX library, which is just, I guess, what Mac's version, Apple's version of like using their hardware to run fast transcription. So in theory, we should change that to use more of a Linux library or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me it was purely like you talked about this idea of like a just file gives you a good set of instructions on how to do all these things. And there wasn't I didn't see a just file for like just transcribe. And my first thought was like when I thought about it, I was like, okay, well maybe it's like Django manage.py transcribe something. And I think that took me down the road. It took me like down the wrong path of like, sure, we could add that as a command if you want, but then once it started talking about like, oh, well, in order to do that, we would need to rewrite all of this stuff under this new path. I was like, okay, that doesn't feel right. I'm gonna reach out to Jeff and figure out what's going on. I eventually got it to work where it's just using the script that we created. However, there was a bug there in that for some reason the args that were being passed, it didn't like the idea of like transcribe.args. It would try to break up any file that had spaces in it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to add like I added the two Django US perspectives because I remember doing the videos and was like, cool, let me do Amon and let me do Sarah. And I'd use YouTube DLP to just download the files real quickly. And when I did, it broke up all of the spaces, and using just didn't work, but using the script by default did. So eventually I just kind of gave up on doing it through just and was like, I'll just run the command. It's fine. And I got that working, but then ran into another bug, which was like the transcription was going to be named exactly what the video file was, and it was going to try to save that as the YouTube ID. So quick Claude scripting there. I was able to convert that into like, hey, actually save it as the YouTube ID, which luckily we're given at the end of the video file. So if you're using YouTube Downloader and you're using, this, everything should work fine. Obviously, if you're not, if you're doing something differently, then you might run into some other issues, but we can update the instructions kind of for what we're doing. So all that being said, I eventually got it to work, and everything now is pretty good. And then I did a couple of things, and I'm going to commit most of this just so that we're on the same page, except for, I've already done it. I knew I was going to do it. My keyboard and app are frozen right on my
It's clear. It looks like,
hey, would you like a password? Here you go. That's always fun. Luckily, Ivan has a really good fix for that, which is just rotating the key. But I do this every time. This is I did a demo with someone on a project, and I specifically told them like, do not allow me to share my API key, because if I can, I will mess it up. And if I will mess it up, then
gotcha.
It'll happen.
So one thing you mentioned about the just file and stuff. So when you're dealing with tabs that have spaces in it, we have a tendency to just quote those. And there's ways you can just pass in a non-quoted string. And then because just is doing kind of like a template replace method. And so where it sees like your arg variable, it's just putting that string in as is. And so sometimes with this, what I'll do is I'll put quotes around the args that's getting passed into the command. Like, you're running just the recipe name, and then I'll go ahead and double quote the args there. Now that's fine unless you're doing multiple args, and you may have like 2 or more paths that can have spaces in it too. And so it takes some fiddling. It's not super obvious when you first start playing with it, but once you realize like, oh, this is like Jinja templates or Django templates, and it's just going to take the exact same text and just pass it straight in. And then it's a matter of, can I just put double quotes around this to like do the right thing? So sometimes you can, sometimes you can't with multiple files.
Yeah. And all of that made sense. And actually I understand the problem that I made. I use an envrc file, versus normal, like I guess a normal file, and it wasn't in your git ignore because you normally don't use an envrc file, which would make sense.
I do. It's just a folder above it
Oh,
because I've got a git checkout.
fair. So before I push all this stuff, there were a couple of things that I don't need to add. Actually, all of those files do not need to be added. And the ones that are modified should be fine. Yeah. Just to... Yeah, because the captions themselves shouldn't be updated. Oh, geez. You ignore readme, just file, and scripts. Everything else can stay uncaptioned. Yeah, cool. All right, sent those to you. Oh, of course I sent them outside of outside of main. You know what? I will send you these changes later, unless you are planning on working on them while we're doing this.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and push them, or do you not have? Did you end up getting the GitHub access to join that repo?
I did.
Okay, cool.
I just did the stupid thing and didn't merge them onto the right branch.
It's all right. Feel free to open a pull request, and I can just merge them. And
can I do that?
you
Since
can get
I
on
already
the cool
submitted
search
a
stuff.
PR on that feature?
I think so. Should just be able to git push origin, whatever the branch is.
Yep, cool. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right, I threw the PR in there. The things that I wanted to show you are actually the DB considerations and then this multi-search. And I want to start with the DB considerations because this was me asking Claude to take a peek at what the like status of the database like looked like from the perspective of the Django application. And this
Okay, was that Glow you typed or what was that?
Yeah,
because
that's
that was not
Glow.
Claude, so I don't.
Glow is a Glow is a markdown reader. It just puts it in a pretty setup. Only problem is it does throw it down to the bottom, which is kind of annoying when I'm trying to when I have to scroll up and figure out where I am. Here we go. So this talks about a couple of things. One, okay, how are we actually loading this into the database? DJ DB URL. I thought that was pretty cool. I've used this in the past. We were talking about this before in the last one that there are a few ways to do this. Connection string is, in my opinion, the easiest. And if you want to do that, this DJ DB URL, I'm not sure. The environs library was new to me per se. I'm used to just os.environ.git. It feels like this is wrapping that around other commands maybe. Am I right about that or?
Yeah, so Python's default environment library is great, and it's good for just pulling values out. And then this environs library is one I adopted because I wanted to be able to read environment variables, both from a file or just from the environment, via just Python. And so we're using the Django version of it essentially.
Okay.
And so what's nice about it is it can do things like take the database URL and parse it into all the different parts it needs, or Django needs to know how to read it. So Django can't read that by default. It wants you to break it into the hosts and the ports and the name and all the other pieces that you need to connect to a database. And so it's just a shorthand method because of this format. I think Heroku may have invented it or somebody did a long time ago, and I've just kind of used it. I know most database providers and services you subscribe to uses it. There's also a similar format that's not part of that spec for the database URLs for connecting to email servers and Redis servers and caching servers and stuff. So It just kind of bundles a bunch of like neat libraries together into one. And then that way you can just import environs and have all these neat like, ways to parse these variables down so it can be one value.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, and like I said, I know I've used the Django DB URL package before, and maybe it was through environments, but I couldn't remember how. I was like, oh, connection string, and I saw how it looked, and I was like, that looks right, and it worked. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna trust it. Um, anyway, so all the database stuff is pretty cool. It talks about the Docker complexity. I'm not really worried about that. PG auto upgrade was really cool. Is that it's like, you know, it's gonna just download whatever version of Postgres you have and then move you to the latest version. That was really nice. What's up, Tim? Tim's waving in the chat. The health checks and stuff. Again, a lot of these are very much like if you're doing anything with Docker Compose, like a lot of these are really good things to do. We're actually not using the Docker Compose with this one for this example. I'm using the Ivan for Postgres situation. And then it just kind of breaks down your transcript. It looks at some of the migration history that was in there. Again, a lot of that I was like, this is nice. I'm glad I see it, but also kind of beyond scope of what we're talking about. This is what I was really cool about. Like, okay, we're admitting to using Postgres specific features, and that's with full text search. Oh, well. Generated fields persisted in the database. I had thought I had read this when I looked at how the view was set up of like, oh, hey, we have this search vector, these search vectors that we're creating, and they are like this TS vector field. And I was like, wait, are we generating those every time we're doing a search? That feels expensive. And then that db persist equals true just kind of locks that in. So it just is like, hey, the first time you make it, just save it to the actual database. You don't have to create it every single time, which was really good. This gen indexing, I always forget what the GIN in gen is, but this is a specific search type for doing text-based searching. This is a specific index type for text-based searching. I know Claude did this, it kind of picked this, but this is actually the right choice. There's another one that's called gist, which is another option, but gen is actually preferred when we're doing full text search, more performant, all that good stuff. The thing with gen is everything has to be consistent. That's like the big rule. The English language configuration stuff was set so that you have to set it now for all of them. Otherwise, it will ignore the index itself and just like search around the index, which is fine and it works. It's just slower. And the timestamp stuff is kind of whatever. But I was really impressed with choosing the gen index search, choosing the English configuration, and I think even in the actual, like here you have the config in English. In the actual search as well, you're matching that with the config English, and that's forcing it to use those indexes, which are going to speed up the process, which is really cool. More database stuff, Docker stuff. Yeah, all of that was just kind of, it got really like into, we're doing all these things. And I was like, okay, cool, thanks. Good job. The other thing that I wanted to look at was just for those who have never like actually just jumped into their like database before. Let me open up a second terminal over here so I can re-add that this new key that I've created that we're not going to share. We'll see what the over-under is on that. Any questions, by the way, on the other thing? Just the kind of the Postgres stuff of it all.
I'm going to try to find this on YouTube so I can follow the comments. I'm not doing a good job of that.
I think the comments right now are just Tim waving.
Hey, every comment counts.
I love it. I appreciate the waves. This isn't going to help me here. I need to go back to the service and then copy the overview. And then we'll go back to here, and then I'll go over here. Okay. And I just need to, cool. So I wanted to jump into PGCLI. I usually use PGCLI or PSQL. If it's a like one-shot command, I'll use PSQL. If I'm actually like navigating the database, I'll use PGCLI because I just think it's a little bit nicer. Showing all the things that you missed the keys. Tim is trying to figure out how to do his little infiltration of my system, I guess.
Yeah, you should echo that database URL for the viewers.
Yeah. No. I've already had to change it once. So I always look at this and like this is the like why I like Django kind of section. There's a lot of stuff going on here. And like even the Django migrations and things like that. Like there's a product called PG Roll that I've looked at from a company called Zeta, and it's supposed to manage like all these different versions and how you like navigate them. And I thought that was interesting, but I also just kind of like how like Django's like, I will just show you the migrations. Like they're just here. Like here are the things that we did. Here are the changes that we made. And like all of the permission sets, all the user like admin stuff, even maintaining a log. Like I think being able to come in and just see who did what, when, and where in Django is so much easier because Django is built to give you all that information. Maybe not directly, but like in the database, it's all there. That being said, I've definitely messed this up before in the past of trying to like migrate over a Django project. Like it's good to migrate some of this stuff over, but maybe don't migrate like all of the admin stuff. Or at least don't store all of the admin migration stuff in your PG dump. That's probably not great. But looking at our transcripts, transcript? Come on, what are we doing? DT.
Yeah, transcript.
Transcript.
So Django has, when Django creates its database table names, it's always going to take the name of the application, which is the folder it's in, and then it's going to take your model name, lowercase, and put an underscore between it. And so first time you look at it, it's a little wild, but it makes sense when you think about how it's trying to group, all the apps together, apps and models together.
Yeah. But we can kind of see in here what's going on with this like ID, YouTube ID. Again, you're created and updated at. I feel like those are just always there. If we were doing PG-18, maybe I would argue we don't do created at and just make the ID a UUID, like UUID 7. But that's kind of, whatever. Then we have the SRT content and the text content, and then we have that TS vector that we talked about. So far, all of this is solid. Oh, and then the indexes that are there were nice. The B-tree index, the YouTube like B-tree index thing was confusing to me. I don't understand why that was created, but that's somewhere deep in Django of how we configured this. It knew it needed to index that and use a B-tree index.
I wonder if that's the full text search, because I'm not super familiar with that either. But it makes me kind of wonder if that's part of like trying to do that like search or whatever it's trying to break down. But
yeah, because I know the TS vector, the way that it is searching, it's searching over a couple of different things, and the YouTube key was one of those. Unique constraint.
Yeah, because that's the only time we reference it. We didn't say anything special in the Django model itself to mark it. We just said it was a char field.
Yeah. And this was like all solid, and I mean, of course, I can come in and like, I think I've only added like a couple of these, so I can table transcripts, and it'll give me kind of a look at what we're looking at here. And I have wrestled with kind of the thing that we'll get to next in this, which is the conversation around how do we reconcile vector search? How do we make vector search happen? And the thing that I have most just accepted is that we could probably just use each of these SRT segments as individual records and then vectorize those. And it'll kind of, I guess, make more sense once we talk about how vector, like, I don't want to talk about how vectors work, because vectors, the way that they work is just, it's math. But just looking at that, or just talking about that, I can go to the optimizations portion of this, which I wouldn't really even call it optimizations. It's us looking at other things we could do. And that was this implementation plan. And my initial thought was like, vector search would be interesting. Hybrid search would also be interesting. And then the vector search part of this, and this is me kind of doing the streamer thing of talking to the audience, not just Jeff, because I think Jeff knows this already. When we look at the idea of implementing full text search, that means that our searches have to be accurate. So imagine if we were talking about how do I do vector search in Django, and we didn't have any results for vector search in Django, but we had vector searches for Fast API. Like, full text search is not going to find that information, but vector search would. And that's both good and bad, because that means when you specifically need it to be in like a specific thing, or you specifically need a like phrase, vector search will never give you that exact phrase, unless you just type it exactly on the head. And even then, I think I've run into issues with that. Of sometimes being exactly correct is not good. But since we're working with like strips of text, it'll be impossible to get it exactly correct. And then you have like hybrid search, which is give me the best of both worlds, perform both searches, and then basically score those, and then add a weight to figure out which ones you prioritize. In this case, I would prioritize full text search and then put vector searches like in after the fact. So if I type in Django vector and Django vector search pops up, that's probably from full text search. But then if it just popped up with vector search without the Django, that could be something from just doing the vector search. But we would get both of those results in hybrid search. I actually just realized that in this, I didn't include the trigram searching thing. But in this, I was looking at it and I said like, oh, we need to do chunking and like all this other stuff. And chunking is literally just taking a bunch of text and splitting it up into an array of smaller pieces of text so that you can search on those individual chunks. The thing that I realized with this was we already have SRT output of this content, which is already broken up smaller texts of things that are being said. So it's already chunked. We don't have to do any of that. But we do need to figure out a couple of things, which is, what was it right here? What embedding model we were going to use. I was going to suggest using embedding Gemma. There are a couple of options. The one that I've used most in like my career are the sentence transformer models, but at this point they're like a few years old. AI is actually pretty good at developer stuff, which gave me hope that using a more modern model would actually have some of those solutions. Like, I think we were talking about it earlier. Like, we were kind of impressed with how good it was at detecting the word Django instead of like combining it with other phrases. So I was looking at this and like embedding Gemma is a Gemma model. It's an embedding model in itself. So as long as we do all of the embeddings with the same model, and then whenever someone puts in a search, we embed that search with the same model. All of that can be loaded on machine or in the Docker file, and we don't have to do anything like off machine, which is kind of nice. That said, this file is completely jacked because it all implied that we were going to vectorize. We were going to like chunk and vectorize some more data. And this has kind of been one of the things that I've been trying to understand more of and get a better grasp around with vector search is, why does vector search need to have multiple copies of the same data set? In this case, it just doesn't, because we already have some decent chunks. So I'd like to kind of move forward with this, but I kind of want to just check in and make sure are all the things that I'm saying, are they actively making sense? And that's for Jeff and Chad, I guess.
I mean, I understand vector searches. Is your goal kind of to do more of like that AI vector search here, or are you also wanting to do, because you mentioned like other types of searches as well, like trigram and stuff. Like, are you trying to do like a pure Postgres searching as well, and then bring like the AI element to it, or what's kind of your goal? Where do you want to end up?
I'm not really trying to bring in the like, let's make it a chat bot, because I think that like one of the things I was talking with Pamela Fox about at PyCon last year was vector search is just another way of doing search. It's another search technique. It's another thing that we can implement. And with Postgres, you mentioned we have full text search. We have trigram search with the trigram extension. We have vector search with the vector search extension. And there's a world where you can kind of navigate in and out of these based on your needs. And that was one of the things that I was like most interested in the Postgres side, where like Elasticsearch has kind of always had this. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about how easy it is to just do different types of search within Django. Outside of like, oh, hey, enable this for your AI model. And it's like, well, no, you don't. I mean, you don't have to do it from the AI model. You can just do it and then return the results, and no chatbot needed.
Yeah, so a lot of times what people are doing is this like embedding style. They're going to do a search to try to like grab context to like submit to AI. And
Yeah.
that way, if you ask a question and then you check your local documents or resources, and you can like embed relevant like pieces of text that your search brought up. That way you can like make your request, give the model that little bit of context, and maybe it can make a smarter answer, or based on your local results compared to what ChatGPT or whatever model indexed 9 months ago or a year ago.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like the recipe for RAG. Like when we talk about like
Oh yeah, right.
retrieval, augment, and generate is hey, perform a search first, and then like feed that augment your query with this knowledge, and then have it generate new answers based on that context. Let me get Claude running, and I'm gonna say like, hey, multi-search MD looks cool, but there are a few problems. Can we make a simpler plan to act on? One, we're going to, like, in order for this to work, we're going to need to pull the SRT files. Like, they could stay in there for now, but ultimately we would want to ingest the SRTs differently. We would want to basically have it stored where it's like the SRT like segment, like the position of that segment, the times in which those segments last, and then the snippet itself, and then the YouTube ID or some unique identifier. I think YouTube ID is fine. That way, if you wanted to build it, you would still say just build it in order, from in ascending order, and then there you have all that text, or you just have the text-based search. You could also have that if you wanted to like embed where in such and such certain things were said. So we're going to move the SRT text to its own table, and it is YouTube ID for matching information.
So while you were typing that, I think contextually, so people understand, we've got a transcript model and we store the text content and the SRT content. And so what we want to do is try to parse out that SRT content. And then that's where Jay's instructing. We want to know, the YouTube ID, the timestamp. So we know when it starts, when it ends. We want to know what was actually said. And there's probably some other metadata there.
Yeah. I think just pulling it from the YouTube ID itself, like we're sharing all of the other metadata that would be there. If you wanted to really start playing around with machine learning models, you could do things like sentiment analysis and all of these things. Mike is commenting on the Starship prompt. I do have Starship, but I'm also using Zellage. For what it's worth, we're gonna need to add OpenGem embeddings for each vector or for each segment, and then.
See, you're a planner and I'm not. I'm more like add OpenGem. That looks good. All right, let's go to the next thing. Let's create a new table for SRT stuff.
My only problem with that is, if I don't give it all the instructions, then I feel like step 1 and step 2 are undo half of what we did in the previous instructions to now make it work with the new instructions. But I agree with you. Like, the only reason I did this was because I knew I was wanting to make sure that this was somewhat on the rails. So I did this like, hey, tell me what you're going to do, or tell me what you think we should do, and then put it in a markdown file so I can read it. That way I have some sense of intelligence about like what the plan was going to be for this live stream, because otherwise it was just going to be flying by the seat of our pants.
No, that's fair. I've got a 3-year-old and we get our shoes on the right feet first before we worry about tying them, we worry about getting our coats on. Yeah. So I'm used to that, like baby steps.
There we go. Okay, so add trigram search. Oh, and then
I don't think Mike got your database URL key either. You may want to reshare that.
Oh, no. Yeah, for those that missed it, LazyGit decided, along with my terminal, to apparently just hang right on the git commit of like my environments file that like I was not going to add, but it was just like stuck there and there's like nothing I could do about it. So again, I've used the like 1Password like CLI thing to avoid that, and it's just more work than it's worth. Like I would almost say the same about like using like HashiCorp Vault in like dev. I know there's another dang, I can't remember the I've already recycled the key, Mike, so it's not gonna help you if you rewind. That's fine.
I know there's like KMS and stuff too, which is like Amazon's.
Yeah. Well, there's like a whole, it's like the idea of GitHub environments, but done locally. And it's as
you can do secrets too. Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called though. I just remember there being some new tool that they were very much like, oh yeah, you can use this for working in dev, and it's like you never have to worry about environment variables or all this other stuff, and you can share environments with developers so everybody can have the same environment. And I'm like, so we recreated Docker. That's what I'm hearing.
You've got me checking the repo now to make sure you didn't actually.
No,
You got that script. I don't see it, so.
Okay, so yeah, this is, like I said, it's doing the AI thing, which is very much like, hey, we're going to unwrite a bunch of stuff and write some new stuff. But I just told it to just keep moving. Like, we don't need to stop every 5 seconds. I wanted to see how Django handles this because, again, we were talking about like trigram search, and we know that like there is a Postgres trigram extension, and Django knows about it. So yeah, users can select FT, full text search, trigram, vector, or hybrid. Each search type returns results, segments, link to video time codes. Cool. Yeah, all that sounds great. Okay, yep. Just do it, and then while you're doing it, we'll open up LazyGit again and try not to step all over ourselves.
I think there's going to be a trigram extension you'll need to add too, but I guess we will tackle that whenever Claude gets us there.
Let's close that one up, and then I'll close some of these.
So if Mike or anybody listening, if you hear artifacts with my voice, I hear a little double echo thing, but I don't know that you can hear it. And if you can't hear it, that's great. But bring it up just in case you can.
Mike
had mentioned also thinking of keyring too.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that. I will remember it as soon as I'm off the stream. Live streams will reduce your intelligence by at least 20 points every time.
It's harder to sit here and watch too.
What's that?
I don't know why. I need to work on my resting face, I guess.
I mean, we can actually do, so we were talking about you needed the trigram, create extension. The trigram? Is it just trigram? Let's see. You get to talk about like I have an IO. I'm going to go. This is how I check to see if I can find it. It's always just like extensions for from Postgres. Extensions available, and then trigram. I think I saw it already. I can't see it.
Mike did say that you are a little soft-spoken, but
I am?
Yeah. Just softer spoken. I don't think it's super low, but
Oh, I can.
Sorry to devolve this into talking about audio.
Oh no, it's fine. It's one of those things where like I'm constantly trying to understand whether or not I should speak louder or not. It also just comes with if I'm just over here looking at something or reading, I'm probably doing it in a muted voice. PG trigram. The PG trigram module. Okay, so we're just going to create extension if not exists. What? PG trigram? Sure. Is that?
Now, if you want the Django way to do it, let me find that.
TRGM.
Yeah, Mike, I would do the migration, but this is Jay's day, so we're just going to do it how Jay wants to do it.
What? No migration? There's no migration? It says, no, let me lock in the dependencies and run migrations. It's doing its thing. I'm actually kind of surprised it's doing its thing since we changed like one or two things. Yes, we know the password authentication failed. That's because... There we go. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, it was just PG trigram. Oh yeah, let me share your link because I think you can share it in the chat, and I think I have to then add it to the. I don't want to add it that way to the broadcast. That's not helpful. I want to like.
I thought I pasted it into the stream, but I don't know if people can see it.
Love me a good just file. We should probably also include a link to the project itself, which does have a just file in it. Would help if I didn't press enter early.
That is a comically wide view for such a small amount of GitHub in the middle. That's amazing.
Yeah. There's also the I should probably just make this just naturally bigger so people can read it. But yeah, Jeff Triplett Django transcription demo is where you can find it. And then I'm pretty sure this is going to use the trigram thing. I'm kind of like you said. I was pretty. Oh, it actually installs the trigram extension.
Yeah, so one kind of weird thing about the Django docs is they eventually get you there if you look at that bottom example, but you have to go and grab the extension name, know where to import it from, which is going to be that from Django contrib Postgres operations import trigram extension, and then drop it in here, I believe, and then know what the right arguments need to be.
Oh, goodness.
Claude can probably do that, but if it works, we can skip it, and I can clean it up later.
Why is it prompting me about just files? Just run is what I want to say. It doesn't like that we use Django PG vector. It just wants PG vector, which you said the PG vector had like a Django thing in it.
Yeah, I think they've got an extension for Django or something.
Yeah.
I've never done this. About once every 2 or 3 weeks, I ping Jay and ask him if he's done this yet, because I keep thinking it will be the week that he says yes, and then I don't have to go figure it out. So now we're going to do this live.
I was like, what is this using PG vector in Django? Oh, I figured you would have done this a bunch.
No, I really haven't yet with RAG, especially on the Django side. Here we go. I knew Tim was on. He would know what to do.
Operations equals trigram extension with no params. Interesting. This is one of the reasons why I do like live streaming, is that I think for a lot of live streamers, they're very much like, let's have fun, or like, let me show you what I know. I'm in the lucky position of like, I just wait, and then people who do know, like Tim or Jeff or Mike, eventually just start leaving the messages in the comments like, oh no, this is how you actually do it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thanks, I figured it out.
Hey, Tim, can you connect to the database and run it for us?
I mean, I can tell you that the extension's installed already, but yes, like,
you're good. That's good.
How does that work then with migrations in the future? Is it going to be a problem that we installed through the database side?
So what we normally do is like a data, what do they call it? We'll do a make migrations with just a data only or an empty migration. And then we would grab kind of that snippet that I sent you, plus what Tim's suggesting, paste it in, and then I can do that on my side. That way it's ready for the next person. Okay. And then what we would do is just like fake that migration on your side because you've already ran it. And so, yeah.
Oh, Lord, now it's reading my NV file. So the second time I've leaked.
don't know if I see it up here yet, but yeah.
No, no, no.
At least it's not displaying to the screen,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's
Yeah, only AI has my old my old environment variable.
so these things I don't run like against production. So this is just like
Yeah.
basically this is just your development server, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm more just interested in like what it was saying, like the database credentials. Good news is that we've completed phase 1 code wise. Let me update the to do and move to phase 2 since we can't migrate right now. Oh, well, yeah. I think what's interesting about that is it's specifically because we have an env file, and that env file has the value, but we also have an envrc file. So like I think if I just remove the .env file, the migration would have worked. Like I've
Tim's
got
got a good tip here that any extension that you've added, Django will skip if it's already installed.
okay,
So that's nice.
so sounds like we're probably good then. So if I do, well, I just need to do. Do I need to make migrations? Hold on, just file. What's my just migrate here? Does it do both things or does it only do the one?
You, I don't know if we created a make migration. So you could do, I usually just live in like just console, but you could do just manage make migrations.
I forget about the console very much. Okay, yeah. So this was the problem that it was saying. It was like I have an env file. Well, I just deleted the env file over on my other screen, but it's saying that like, hey, your env file needs to be in
It needs to
existence
exist.
apparently.
Yeah, I would copy that back over, run just bootstrap, and it will like do the right thing.
Oh, good point.
But then you would have to, off screen, you'd have to edit and add that database URL back to it.
I can do that. I'm doing that now actually. So as long as I
Yeah, this is the part about live streaming, I'm sure that's like things I
stressful.
take for granted is, avoiding displaying these values on the screen because when I'm working with clients, they're just seeing the front end. They're not really seeing like me running this part, which is funny. I've always avoided showing clients this part because they want to see the front end. Otherwise, they run out of fear of like, you're going to drop this on my lap and I'm going to have to do this someday. So
No, that's why you charge them more. You're like, I do all of this for you, so you don't have to.
we're in the charging department. So yeah, revsys.com.
Oh, I always we got to pay the bills, so that's I need there to be a building to go to on Monday. Oh dang it! Let's see. Okay, I think I did it right, or at least almost right. It also doesn't help that like my bare bones terminal windows are very ugly and like they're all in the wrong color mode, so I'm like struggling to read it. But that looks right. That
Now,
is
if
correct.
you haven't added those model changes, if Claude didn't make those, then there won't be anything to migrate. But if they're there, we should be able to pick up on them.
Um,
I couldn't quite tell, and
it looks like it made some changes. Okay, let me do
now
this.
one thing I run into whenever I'm using like Claude or Codex is I will like explicitly tell it, don't create migrations for me unless I tell you to. Because most of the time with just files, it's pretty good about picking up. And this one's different because I didn't have a make migrations just command. So when it sees that make migrations just command, it will actually run that every time. And so you get good positive migrations. Sometimes it's not even that it hallucinates them. It's just been trained on so many migrations files that sometimes it just creates the migration files itself. And it's truly fascinating. I haven't really had one go astray. It's just I don't want to see 5 or 6 migrations. I just want to see the one. So for this,
Yeah.
it's all fine and good. But Just kind of a warning to somebody out there.
So what are we looking at here? Let me
Gotcha. So Mike's got a good tip. In compose.yaml, you can add required false to env file to allow it to proceed if missing. That's a good tip, but I'd never want that to run. I want them to get errored like this so they know go set your database URL. But Mike, if you look at my just file, I've got a just bootstrap command, and it looks at a env-dst file, dist. And if it doesn't find that file, then it will copy it. That way you get like sane values or good defaults and stuff. So I'd kind of go out of my way to try to make that easy to bootstrap and keep updated. But you're absolutely right. That's a good tip.
Good tip. Good tips. Okay, so I wanted to just see if I could match up what was happening over here. We have this generate SRT embeddings. I'm guessing that interesting. So is it wanting us to do this outside of the data? Well, I guess we have to do it outside of the database because there is no way to generate embeddings inside of Postgres yet. At least not the open source version of Postgres. AlloyDB Omni I think can do it, and I think that there's a couple of like one of the other smaller scalers has like a way to do it. Okay, so
I thought you were doing like a Taylor Swift thing where you're embedding these secret hints that nobody can know about until later dates.
Oh no, not at all. Like
right.
Postgres in itself is very much like with PG vector, you have to supply the vector. There's no method inside of Postgres currently that will generate the embeddings for you. And the reason for that is kind of that big one that I just mentioned of like, what model are you going to use? And then, you have to, it would be responsible for downloading that model. Well, if that model is like, a terabyte and a half or whatever, then what if you change your mind on your model halfway through and then you've got like this other issue that you've got to figure out? Okay, so it's got that, and then it's got like a way to parse SRT segments, parse SRT content from transcripts into individual segment records. Okay, so it's just basically saying, hey, take that SRT file, instead of loading it one by one, or instead of loading it as one file, you've got to load everything. This is interesting. So options, create extension if it doesn't vector cascade. Oh, the reverse command. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. What are we doing here? I actually like reading migration files. Maybe I'm the only one. You're like, why are we doing this? I just want to see like what it's doing. It did the trigram thing. Create a model SRT segment. ID, YouTube ID, segment ID. So ID is going to be unique ID. Primary key is fine there. YouTube ID is the thing that we're probably going to just match on normally, which we should probably index on that. DB index true. Good. Segment index is just where in the SRT like segment is it. Start time, end time text, and then the embedding for that text. And then I guess they have you also include the embedding model in case you want to switch it up. Search config. I don't know. This is just doing full text search. And then trigram search. Interesting. And the transcripts, this is a template. And that's just doing some template stuff. I won't go through that. List display. Okay, cool. All right, so let's migrate this, right? Just manage migrate.
See what happens. Well done, Claude. I think it was making some stuff up, I thought, but cool. I stand corrected.
So then
you might do one more make migration on it just to make sure that there's nothing else that it would want. Now, if you made a just maybe command, that's kind of cool. Kind of like that, sort of manage.
Just try it.
There we go. So there was an extra one. I kind of thought there was.
Rename the
I don't know
SRT
what that renamed.
segment transcript segment index IDX on SRT segment to transcripts some other value index. Okay, that's cool. And then now we just up. And then we can try it here, see what happens. All right, so now we have our same transcript search that we had before. Hybrid is all methods. That's interesting. Does all methods include trigram? Cool.
Yes, that's what all means. I don't know.
Let's
I
see.
didn't know you could do
Django
that,
full
so that's
text
funny.
search. We get our. We only get one entry. I wonder if that's doing like distinct. Oh, we said we made it so that it prints out the search type. It's just querying Django and type is full text search. Apparently we got rid of the part where it prints out the actual search type or the actual search query.
How many actual records do you have? You may only have
I only
two in
have
your
two.
database.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I was just wondering, was it going to catch every instance of the word Django in the search, or was it going to reveal like
Only the talks that have it or something.
yeah, like how is it trying to return the information? Is it returning based on like do a distinct record or do every single instance that you hear the word Django you would pop up, which would be like a hundred of these. I'm gonna what does it want to do? It wants to do a summary. No, we don't need summary. Like okay, I migrated things. So you're good. We did want it still to show the query for each search in the console.
Yeah. I imagine Tim being on the other side with a little tear in his eye because we're not using the Django debug toolbar, but it can also log that for us.
True. You'll have to show
I
me
don't
that
have it
later.
installed though, so blame me for that. I did not install, but
I've never used it, which probably brings a bigger tear to his eye. So, okay, so we've got questions. I'm gonna pull up some of the stuff. Here we go. We got Mike. Mike was saying, Jeff, in Compose, you can add required false to env file to proceed if missing. Oh, interesting. And then has anyone done a what's your vector Victor joke yet? I don't get that, so maybe that might be a thing. It's a neat tool, but you're not a proselytizer though. That's okay though. Django debug toolbar. Use it. I can proselytize for you. I'm confused on what we did. I don't need you to show me the summary. Like, did you do the thing? Is it done? It looks like it's
I thought you just agreed to do it by what you were typing, but maybe I missed it.
I thought I saw it. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Oh, so this is select transcript ID. Yeah. So it's content transcript created at enable transcript. What is it? What is this? This search is a thing. Select transcript.id. So select the ID, the YouTube ID, the SRT content. The SRT content is still in there. Okay. The text content. So basically select everything.
Yeah, we would want to look at the actual search itself to try to cut down if you wanted to not include certain fields, but
Yeah,
I don't remember what the default was, but I mean, for now it's fine. You're seeing what the results are. So if the
yeah,
goal is to like switch search types and verify it, like I'm curious what that hybrid search was.
oh yeah,
There's our
I am
153
too.
again.
So we do trigram search, no results for Django, and that was cannot resolve keyword similarity into field choices are created. Da, 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 da. It's okay, so it's doing trigram search on the. It's doing trigram search on the vector stuff, not the other thing. Text transcript. I'd better YouTube. Yeah, this is interesting. This is where we feed this error, and we say, hey, what goes on here? While that's doing that, we'll do vector search. We can do Django. Oh, never mind. Never mind. It was like, oh, let me go and do some stuff here. Apparently. Oh, okay. No, it's still there. So yeah, searching for Django specifically doesn't do anything. No syntax transformers found. Yep. Yep, that's fun. So it seems like AI did a pretty decent job of the front half, which was setting up the actual fields, but it didn't do the second half, which was the the bottom part, which was figuring out, yeah, because it's even trying to use a different model. That's what? No, I mean, sure, you can test FTS search if you want. It's kind of useless too, but seems like it did a thing.
I made it so look make it made it look so easy on Friday, huh?
You really did. Like this is the thing that like Jeff and I. Anytime I message Jeff, it usually starts with something something. For some reason, Claude just works for you, and for me, it's a nightmare.
It's baby
And
steps, man. You don't have a 3-year-old anymore, and it's like, all right, got to get them on the right feet first, and then we're gonna get your coat and your backpack on. We just gotta. Yeah, I don't know. I would definitely break that into two. So, like, if you're at a state where you're happy with where things are for your, the searches that work, that's where I go ahead and like stage my commits. And I would debate, I'd put them in a branch, and then I would think about like including those and stuff. So,
okay, that makes sense. I'm gonna yell at this really quick though and say trigram search should have worked with the transcription. What was it called? Transcription, and
I think so.
not the in not the vectors table.
Mike is asking if I publish my project global Claude config commands anywhere. I do have some dot files I can share. I don't have a ton that's in there. I don't think people believe me when I say like how underwhelming it is to how I like do Claude stuff.
I think that the
Um,
boring side of stuff is good though. I don't think it has to necessarily be like super fantastic. I mean, as we've noticed here, super fantastic doesn't seem to want to work. So
well, I mean, it worked for most of it. It's just the parts that it didn't get to or got confused by. But I just think you're asking for a whole lot when you get all these different search types and the embedding type. So like I would focus on get everything else minus the embedding in the state that you're happy with, and then work on let's get the embedding library loaded, downloaded, able to handle it, and then like work that into search.
we did get a Let me show this.
Let's see.
Having it display the results count in the console as well. It looks like it. So trigram search it did. I'm trying to see where the trigram part stuff is. Enable what? Is there? It says like there's a flag for enable trigram search. Like, sorry, this is the wrong thing. There we go. So when you run this and then we open up, yeah, 0 found. But again, that's looking at the actual query here. It added fields. It looks like it added fields for enable FTS search, enable trigram search, enable vector search, like into the actual table. Am I reading that correctly?
Unless it's a pending, yeah, I don't know what that's doing. Enable FTS search. Let's go look at the model itself.
Oh, you were looking at the model. I was about to go look at the database. Yeah.
Well, I don't have the model to see it, but I would look. Okay, so it did add those as booleans. Yeah, that's kind of a meta wrong. So this is also why, like, I'm very not trying to shame you, anyways. I also set on that get tower view where I'm looking at changes because I want to see, like, all I really care in this is like, what are you doing to my models as far as like changing things? Because I would not want it to enable. This makes sense if you had like a table that stored various types of searches and you wanted it to enable, like, I don't know, maybe you've got a custom find for a particular conference or find for a particular type of talk.
Yeah.
And then maybe you would store that type in a database table so people could modify it to get better results or something. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we really did kind of go off the rails here, didn't we?
Now my question is, do I need to run a migration? We do need to run a migration. We need to remove the migration that added the... Wait, what?
I wouldn't remove it. I would just keep going forward and we can fix it all later.
I can't type. You were saying like you would make a memory of that, of like, hey, don't do that.
I do tend to do that. And, you know, like, we should commit our Claude file if we haven't. And maybe that's what we didn't. We did? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Mike, in our repo, there's at least a Claude file. It's going to be 90% just it running. The first thing I did was ran slash init on the project. And then I'll use the pound symbol from time to time like you're going to do.
That's like funny that you told it to never run make migrations by hand, but it tried to migrate earlier and like failed.
I guess I'm nicer to it than you are.
You do say please.
You're running your Claude with history. I'm running my Claude with history. I'm very cordial and nice to Claude. So Claude, have you watched this YouTube video yet? It's really good. It's like, I'll get right on that after I fix your problem. Yeah, Mike, I'm going to share a link from, like, I did kind of a summer AI reading list, and like there may be some good stuff in here. The reason half of these posts that I linked to, I liked it because it was more people just kind of sharing. Like, I think Harper's one who shares kind of some dot files and different things that they're doing. One of my colleagues, she's very effective at like writing and doing, working with these tools.
Deletion.
But she also writes more like a novel style approach to it, where I'm just like, yeah, scan everything, let's look at it. I benefit because a lot of our projects don't have JavaScript in them, or it's very, very little JavaScript, very little CSS, because I'm using like Tailwind CSS or something where it's going to read the HTML to figure out what classes need to be. So I don't think I tend to suffer. My projects have like less context pollution because it's not trying to gobble a node folder and it's not trying to add extra things to it. And And it may be, Jay, you may be getting to a point too where
Right.
if you're starting to feel like it's trying to undo things that you've done, where we just like clear your context and,
Well,
or maybe we compact it or something and tell it to,
the
let's just
challenge,
stop and start fixing things.
yeah, the problem is it seems like I think it just deleted that 008 migration file, which has broken the migration stuff.
Okay, tell it to add back the 0008
Yeah, I was
migration.
saying.
Yeah, you gotta get rid of that. You gotta add a space back to it. It's not gonna know what that
Oh,
is. You can escape though. Oh, maybe there we go. Let's try.
see what happens there. I think there's also kind of the conversation of like even if we're not like doing all the things, like maybe a commit would have been nice.
Well, I do atomic style. Like I swear by that. So I thought maybe, we'll see how this goes because the worst case is too, we can always go back to before all the migrations are applied. We can
Yeah.
still keep the code and then we could like delete all the migrations and then we can clean some of this up even if like your database gets kind of weird.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons why I kind of held off on committing, was like I wanted to get like a good commit before we started doing this, and then like let's just play with it and see what happens, and then if some stuff gets wild, then we can come back and blow it away and be like, well, never happened.
I like that you're just double downing on the migration. So
Yeah,
just keep make migration and we're gonna plow through it.
yeah. And then this is still up. Is that going to be still up? No, it says it exited.
That's the utility command. So for this project, we could probably do away with that utility. I tend to run all my commands inside of utility containers. It's just a service I call utility that doesn't run server or something. And I just was kind of used to that for some just random, the way I kind of had some hosting stuff set up. And I thought the logs were easier to like grok through when you saw it.
Yeah.
So it will say exit 0 every time it runs a command or a different status code, but the project can still be up. Now, one thing to note at home too is that even though we've got a local database container that Jay's running, he is connected to a production Postgres database.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what this is doing. This search. Let's do this. Let's try this. And I have not tried this with Django before, so this could work or it could go gnarly. Ivan.io developers. Come on. There we go. Nope, there's another free tool in here.
Formatter or what was it?
No. This is the SQL to text converter.
That's well.
Okay, so select clause retrieves all these columns. Does search vector exist? Search vector doesn't exist.
I think you created that whenever you were doing the, like attaching the, I forget what it's called.
In the
Would have to go look at your model file to see if it's.
Oh yeah, it does exist. Oh, it's the TS vector.
Yeah, your TS vector.
Why are you retrieving the TS vector for a trigram? Okay. Does trigram need a vector? I thought trigram did not use. Well, maybe it does.
I think it does. I think that's.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to compute it each time, but.
This calculates the greatest similarity score between the string Django and the YouTube ID, the text content, the SRT content columns, transcripts, aliasing the result as similarity. Interesting.
See, What's funny to me is I do search, like my searches are usually so basic because we're going to go and not use Postgres at a certain level. So like I know very, very little other than what you see on Django TV and some random sites, which is like looks good enough to me to find to talk about, Postgres. Um,
Don't fear commitment. Oh, the commits. Okay. This filters rows based on a condition where the result is greater than zero point 0.1. Order by,
I'm sure that's some kind of relevance, right?
yeah. Oh, it's that it creates a row called similarity, and it would put in the results of the similarity, and it's saying give me everything that's greater than 0.1. Um, that's interesting. What's more interesting is that like it's still not finding anything in the trigram, and the vector I can understand the vector not working because the vector search already has its own issues. The biggest issue is that it tried to use two different embedding models. Yeah, it's like the vectors that we have. Do we actually load the vectors, or did it load the vectors? Let me see. Table, transcripts. That's search config. Is there SRT segment? There we go. Yeah, see, there's like no SRT segments in there, so of course it can't find anything in there. We would need to run that.
Yeah, you need to run that management command then, huh?
So I would say you have the MX by embeds, but we wanted open Gemma, and we should add the initial vectors.
It's embellishing. At least it's accurate.
Again, it's why are you using the all mini LLM? You should be using.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe quote the one and tell it exactly what you want used again. Oh, look at that. It's trying to edit a migration too. That's funny. You need to tell it to stop that. Don't edit migrations. Yeah, but it
Oh,
does not like eight. For some reason, Jay, eight, it has a problem.
eight is
But again,
like.
I would 1000% of slash cleared this to try to like make up for it. Yeah.
Undo this. All right. I'm gonna take. Let's take 5 really quick, because I'm
Okay.
gonna need like a bio break and stuff. But when we come back, we will maybe get this figured out. Good lord.
Uh,
All right, I'm back. Okay, I agree with you. Of the did it
Yeah,
repeat?
when you get ready to start, definitely like get the migrations in an okay place, and then commit this to a branch.
Yeah.
Like have Claude create a branch if you want, or create a branch, and then save it, and then we can recover from it. But I would definitely clear too. But we can talk about that in a minute when you get back.
I think you're right on all that. I'm trying to see if I can.
I guess our voices is.
Yeah, I think they can hear us.
Okay. So I've got an echo now, huh?
Oh, you do? Let me.
Oh, I wonder why. It's weird.
Oh yeah, it is weird because you've only got one audio input.
Let me double check stuff then.
It may just be.
Yeah, let me reset my mic just in case.
Yeah, let us know if Jeff's still muted or still echoing. The thing I was trying to figure out was I told it to add that stuff back. So yeah, I agree with you. And like, let's create a branch. Help if I did like a. Please, I was like, please don't let that work because random. There we go.
All right. Are we still really echoey or?
My chat window keeps disappearing.
Can you hear my audio at all?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Interesting. Do you hear an echo now, or is that the same or different?
It seems fine on my end.
Okay. Well, we'll
And
go with it then.
chat hasn't complained yet, so. All right. Oh, it says no echo. Good. All right.
Okay, cool.
Let's, again, not add the envrc file. I don't know what these implementation things are. Those were like, as it was doing stuff, it was like, let me tell you what I'm doing. Let me write in my journal. Let's just, pretty sure.
Okay, so you've created a branch. We want to commit what you have. So we have a chance of coming back and fixing something maybe.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that my that all environment variables are not included in the presentation of this.
When we started streaming, my office was like almost 60 degrees because the heat went out in my half, and then they fixed it while we were streaming. So it was like 74 degrees a minute ago when we took our break. So
okay, so we've got a commit, we've got a branch. Let's clear this. So that's cleared now. First things
and
first.
some of your weird files that are there, you might check those out and get rid of them if you don't need them.
Sure. I got rid of 2 of the. Oh, it added the video files and everything. Okay, well. How do we? Let's see. Like, get RM. Oh, I don't want to get RM. I don't want to get rid of the video file. Well, I guess get RM -- cached. That's gonna be conference talks star, and then
I guess that keeps them then, but it removes them from Git.
yeah.
This is why I pay Get Tower $70 a year to.
You know, it's starting to make more sense. This is where I suck at this, because it's like I want to do git commit -- append. It would also help if I could spell. It won't let me append, but that's okay because I can just merge down. I'll compress these, that way you don't have like two random MKV files just sitting in Git history for all time. Okay, so
It's fine. I tend to like squash stuff anyway, so we wouldn't see it.
Okay, so we've cleared this. Problem one of many is, like you said, let's do one thing at a time. Let's get trigram search working. What are we searching when we do trigram? It should really just be the content of, it should just be the content, and it's vector. Because like trigram is looking for, I guess, the content, title, and vector. Let's do this. It should be the same as full text search.
Yeah, let's just ask it. What are we searching for when we do trigram?
Yeah.
And then let's see what it wants to tell us.
Hopefully it's not going to give us like a definition of trigram.
Well, I hope it doesn't say, hello, migration number 8. Let's, how are you doing today? And let's change you.
Good Lord. That's so funny. We just rested on like, oh, it's all migration number 8's fault. It is really trying to understand.
I think it gets nervous when it's watched.
An Postgres database directory appears to contain a database. What?
So it's trying to look at your local database, I think, versus the remote one, which is something else that's going to be weird. Let's see what it says, though.
Comprehensive summary of what trigram search is searching. We're searching from the transcript model, YouTube text. Hold on. There we go.
You could probably tell it to only search the text context, too. Or text content, rather.
Yeah, that's what I would think. There's some value in searching around the time codes, but again, like I would rather it search that, like that's like a very different search that's happening. I want you to like search each of the individual subtexts there, and then just give me like, oh, around this area it talks about this, and then you could hit play from that area. But that's very much not what this is.
Now, before we went to break, I thought you were wanting to kind of focus on getting the SRT files broken out. So like I would definitely pick, like if it's fixing trigrams and limiting it to maybe the text content, I would try to like group that together and then commit it /clear, go into the SRT parsing, unless you got the SRT parsing to work. Like I thought that had failed, or we just hadn't ran it yet.
I think we just haven't ran it yet, but I'm worried about it because it seems like while we told it to use this Gemma model that I don't have downloaded, that like it should have, like if it needed it, it would have downloaded it. I want that to have like a thing. I was trying to see what this, like I tried to full text this, and when I did it, like locked it for some reason. It uses, which breaks text into 3-character chunks and finds similarities in the query. Typos, partial words, abbreviations, transcription. Yep, that's fine. Threshold. Okay, so that's there. When I search for Django, I don't get results. And we just want to see it, like, actually try it and then tell me, like, this is why.
So it's trying it, but it's trying to go on your local host. So we might have to tell it to use your database URL. Yeah, Mike's asking, is this a situation of feature creep, feature scope creep? Would have made sense to ask Claude to ship some search stuff initially and then layer more complex search types. Yes, Mike, it absolutely is. Especially since we said do all searches, and then it came back with like the hybrid search, and we're like, oh, that's really fascinating. But
Yeah.
we're trying to make the SRT files go off into like a separate lookup table so that they would be structurally more in the right,
Yeah.
what I guess more like model organized or structured.
Yeah. Well, there's kind of two things. More for like the conversation that we're gonna have on the 20th. Shout out to Elephant in the Room on November 20th. Like, we want to talk about the experience of like what do we see happening between Django and Postgres as we're doing like search based things in an app designed to work with full text search. And again, like a lot of that is we can look at the historical bits of that where we've said like the Django community rallied around like let's make full text search good, and I think they did that using full text search. But there are more search types than just full text search, and that's where like for this example, it's like we have very definitive text that we can search around. And there was kind of a conversation of like, well, do you actually get different results? Like, what were I know the last stream you were typing in Perl, and like you were getting, I forgot what the other results were. Like it was Perl was a part of, what was it, like compartment or something like that?
Or spectacular. There was something
Yes.
that it was in the middle of the word.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where we're like, okay, hey, like what search types give you the best results, and then like what are the downsides for each of those searches. And then kind of more in the idea here was very much can we see if like can we see like what does it actually look like from a Django perspective to have trigram search working, because some people actually do think that trigram search is better than full text search. That's an opinion. It's not necessarily like my opinion. What are we seeing here? Get actual text content to see what we're matching against. Select YouTube ID, substring from preview, transcripts. Test similarity of Django against full text. Okay. Similarity
Yeah, we
content.
got Django-Con worked in there too.
What's that?
It had Django-Con worked in there too. That was the third option that you.
Trigram similarity threshold of 0.1 is too high for searching full text content. When you compare a short query like Django against a long text filled with thousands of characters, the score becomes very low because the 3-character chunks don't make up a significant portion of the entire text. Interesting. So trigram search should actually be searching on the SRT segments.
If you had anything in it.
If it had anything in it. So maybe step one is like, let's get actual SRT segments loaded. Just now you've got me paranoid. I'm just gonna say like clear
it.
all of that. Like
check your Git history too, or Git, not history, but sorry, look at your files and see if it's modified anything.
Modified transcripts.search. Interesting. So there we go. All right, so now we decided on OpenGemma for our embeddings. I'm going to say document that, and also generate the rows for the SRT table.
Now, did it create a management command or something for you to parse those SRT files?
I thought it
Or
did.
not really SRT files, but right?
Yeah, it had like two manage commands that were in there. I think one was like generate them, and then one was like load them.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Mike said he was dropping off. Yeah, I would go back to find out if there's a management command, and I would tell it to run that as a separate step, unless you need embeddings as part of that. It feels like we're doing two different things again, but
Oh, it's just changing the text. Okay, I was like, what are we doing here? Okay, it didn't know what to do. Anyway, let me. I see you want me to create sample SRT segments. It could be inserted in the SRT table. Let me data fix. No, just stop. Just stop.
okay. If you're still here, the lesson we learned today is the very simple cloud instruction. Do not create a big plan. We may have to have three parts to this to get this back on track.
There might be a live stream on Monday just to be like, let's go. Like, all right, where are we at here? Okay, so now I'm gonna clear it again. All right, so
Tell Claude to list our management commands.
I never understood the illegal operation thing that it does. Okay, just manage load okay, yeah, here we go. So parse SRT segments, generate SRT embeddings, load captions.
Ask out what's the difference in parse SRT segments and generate SRT embedding. Oh, no, I know. You don't have to ask that. Yeah, ask it to run that first one then.
Which one was that? Parse SRT segments?
Yeah. And I'd probably check the Django database after this is done. Oh, look at that, 156 and 134. That's something we could check the text file and, skip to the end of the segments and see what we got.
Oh, does it actually? I'm confused. It didn't.
It didn't what?
Like, where did it store this at?
I assume it's in the database.
Oh, well, yeah. I don't think it loaded it though. Oh, it did load it. Okay, well,
yeah,
there we go.
Okay, yeah, I would tend to believe it. It said that's
The
scrolling
embeddings are empty.
zero.
There we go.
Right. But I think it had another step for the embedding.
Generate SRT embeddings, yeah.
Ask it what generate SRT embeddings does. I'd escape and get the full thing unless you...
Yeah. Good point. All right, so... takes SRT content, breaks it down into individual. So it does the first thing. No, it did the other thing. I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, when you kind of got cut off with the what does that command do?
What was it? Generate?
Yep. Underscore SRT embeddings. Sometimes I'll give it's usually good enough to pick up the file like this, but then this is going to pick the file up and put it inside of its context window behind the scenes. And so then it's going to have a knowledge all of a sudden of what it's doing. That can sometimes be helpful.
Yeah, it takes the text from each SRT segment record Uses sentence transformers to convert the text into dense vector embeddings. Stores these embeddings in a database for similarity-based searching. Okay.
Now ask it which model it plans on using. And we probably need to come up with more of which embedding model are you going to use? Because it may think Django model. It's probably the other part that's really confusing for it too, because we're using a Django model context, then we're using embedding models.
I love how it's just like it's looking for patterns and searching, and it's like,
okay, let's tell it to change this. Unless that's what you want to use. Now don't tell it we thought. Tell it use this embedding model instead, and then that will like correct itself.
the dimensions thing is kind of like the important thing is like, okay, hey, like, yeah, okay, OpenGemma is all mini LM L6 V2. That's fine. If that's accurate and that's what we're using, then cool. This model has broader semantic understanding. I need to let you know, changing the embed will require you to recreate the embedding. I was about to say that because I've had this problem before, but that would only be the case if we actually defined the embedding. Let's see. We did.
We might need to look on the Django side too.
We said it was vector 256 when it should be vector 768. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay, so yes, do one. Do one looks correct. That should be new migrations, not previous migrations. I'm just while it's doing its thing, I'm just gonna come down here and okay, cool. It's got a whole new model there. And then this is naturally gonna yell a little bit. Oh, that's the wrong window. Okay. Oh, now it's running just manage generate SRT embeddings.
Look cool though.
Why is it changing the dimensions? Why are we updating the dimensions?
Tell it to change it to the 768.
Oh, the model is outputting different dimensions. What?
All right, let's go with it, and then we can fix it in the.
If it's doing another migration that it was not supposed to make. It's gonna run and do its thing. Successfully generated embeddings for all 290 segments. Okay, so like we can see what that looks like. Yeah, table. And then those are all of our embeddings. Of course, not all of them, Cool. All right, so now we should be able to do vector search on, I'm going to clear this. What? No. Clear. Can you... kind of want to see if this just works. I doubt it will, but like I still want to. I always want to just like give it a shot, see what happens. Found 50,
Hey, you got vectors. That's what you wanted.
50 results, which is good. What's interesting about that now is there we go. Yes, this is what I expected to see. Was like,
see, you just needed help prompting. Way overthought it. It's got to be baby steps.
You know,
this is cool though.
Yeah. So that works with this. If we just do full text search, same search.
And that's what's weird though, and I think that's probably what was confusing, is we're kind of doing not only are we doing different types of search, but we're searching different things with the same search.
Yeah.
Because, we're doing that transcript model, and then we're also doing these embeddings, SRT, whatever you call the segments.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Okay.
What was the other one? Was there a hybrid one or something, or did you feel comfortable
we got to
with
get
that?
trigram search working first, because apparently the hybrid search is trying all of them.
So first thing, you're going to commit this.
Yeah.
We're going to save it.
Let's see.
And then we're going to clear its mind. It's like Groundhog Day every time. Hi, Jay.
That would be funny. Oh, I was actually interested when we did the vector search, like Django fellow, that's Django for you, Django projects. Okay, I just wanted to see like, was it pulling them up? What happens if I type in Flask? Do I get anything?
Yeah, it's going to depend on which you're.
Found results.
More I would expect.
Python Django, Python Django con, like Django. Yeah, because again, like in the world of Python development, Flask is very close to Django, which is like
okay, gotcha. So this is that PG vector then. Got it.
Yeah, that is pure PG vector, like being eager and saying I want to find results. And I probably could have had it like show the scores as well, but we'll figure that out in a second. All right, so we committed it. Now, except we're gonna clear it, and we should say trigram search would be more powerful on the SRT segments. Do that. I don't know. Like, I ran out of words. This is why I can't do the speech thing, because I would be like, that's not good. Make it better. Thank you.
I think the voice to text is easier. It does take a little bit of like getting used to it. And then sometimes I just delete it, like I'll backspace over, and then I'll try like a second time if I'm, not quite ready to like, walk through, I guess, or describe what I'm wanting. But
I agree that I think it one of the biggest problems that I have with AI is I do tend to talk to AI like I talk to Google. Like I will just give you one or two words and then say, do the thing. Did it just do it? I'll help you implement trigram search and SRT segments, explore the code base and search implementations. Okay, cool.
I think it gets easier too when you use that for like, because I use it for replying to you and other people in like chat.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of get used to talking to, even though it's not you are a person. When I'm talking to you and I'm talking to the Claude, it feels very similar because I'm doing the same, hold down the button and talk.
Did something here. Okay. It's doing a migration. Since we're not changing the model, okay. It added an index. Perhaps the easiest way to actually walk through this really is to look at the migrations. Since the migrations are running SQL code, like you can look at the SQL code and see what it did. Kind of like step 1, it did this, and then moving on. I'm sure like at the beginning it's gnarly, but when you go from like a couple of options, it's probably not that bad. It wants to run tests. I'm very confused on what it's trying to do. It feels like it's doing something, but I'm not. What are we doing here? We're modifying search. Okay. Sure. Okay, cool. Related field, transcript.
What are you running here for the better diff view?
This is Delta.
This is cool.
Yeah, brew install Delta, and then when you run git diff, just do git diff pipe Delta. You can do it with anything pipe, any diff pipe Delta, but
Cool. I'm going to tell Claude to do this.
yeah, that works.
Get Delta.
Search result though, segments, query select, program search segments, return segments. Okay. So it's this one here. Trigram.
Yeah, what was it doing? Sorry, I kind of had to reply to something, and I'm.
Oh yeah, this is what it was doing. Is it was like annotate similarity raw SQL, like greatest similarity transcripts YouTube ID similarity transcripts text content similarity transcripts SRT content, and then you're passing in the query for all of those, and then you're doing the output into a float field, and now it's just SRT segment text. Just so much simpler. And that was kind of one of the things I was thinking about, was like, I feel like this is one of those things where it is just so much simpler to, let's see, Django. Do we actually get results now? Cool. And we get spots in the actual talk, which we could probably cheese to do something like, if you want to do like the YouTube embed, you could do YouTube embed start at that time, which would be kind of interesting. But, okay, so hybrid search, I'm guessing we get everything. Hybrid search is probably going to take a long time to run, but we got it. And hybrid search, you just get a bunch of stuff. You get a bunch of data, and it's kind of hard to tell kind of in terms of what it got, but I'm guessing you would probably have just gotten like some instances. But the thing that's nice about this is if you do this, you should still get results. Maybe. Okay, there we go. Yeah, next Django take care. Things are working like that. I would assume that if you do full text search and you just do DG8, yep, you get nothing. If you do trigram, you're not going to get everything, but you're going to get something. If you do vector, you're probably going to get the most, because again, it's looking at just literal similarity or distance to something to one. And to me, when I think about this more and more, you were talking about, there's always going to be like cleanup tasks and things like that. I see in here that defna isn't capitalized properly. You could probably come up with a list of like a short dictionary file that's like defna Django, like buzzwords that how you want it to be looking out for, and finding things that are close. Like you probably have like one global one for the entire project, and say have it run through all that stuff. The thing that I'm going to be really interested in is now if you have to make a change, do you make the change like you have to make the change in two places? But I wonder if it's easier to just be like, make the change in the SRT file and then have it go back and update that segment of the actual text in the full transcription.
Is there a reason you'd make an SRT change? Would this be like a correction or something?
Yeah, like a spelling correction. Like I saw in here, like it spelled Amon's name wrong here. And I'm like, okay, if I make this change on this particular segment, I need that change to also be reflected in the full content that doesn't actually fully expand, but would probably work on the view details.
So this is kind of going back to like our first stream. But basically, if we were really going to do this, like one step of this is like this was solving kind of a technical challenge that I was running into, was like generating these and getting them stored, then building search. But like how we would do this if we were doing this more professionally or wanted a higher level of quality is we would run this through like an LLM or something to like do some corrections for us and fix common typos that we may find. And so I would do that before I would turn this into like the finalized SRT version. And so what I would probably do is look at like the talk description on YouTube, because that's going to have the author's name spelled correctly and get some of the technical terms. Yep. And I would have that be part of the prompt of like, use this as context now, and then prompt it through like fix misspellings and fix the context. And, it really is Django, DJANGO, which again, I'm impressed that it gets that correctly, but that's how I would structure that. We just don't really have a pipeline, and we could just make a management command to do that. But I don't. That goes down a different rabbit hole. You may want to, may or may not want to solve.
Well, and I mean, like we're at time now, but I would think like the interesting challenge of that is the MLX pipeline that we're using, the MLX tool that we're using now, creates two copies of the text. It creates the full text and it creates the SRT text. So even if we were making the changes before we uploaded them into the database, you would still have to make that change twice. And maybe it is easy to do of just like feed it to the LLM. I think that there's an equally like there is a like have some other app that talks to the same database that says like find the description of the YouTube video, then use the description of the YouTube video to look for misspellings of the person's name and things like that. And like all of that could be done behind the scenes. All that could be done like without any changes.
And then I think to your point too, what I would probably do is on that SRT save, I would have that go ahead, because right now we've got a management command that's actually going to go and do all the embeddings for us, per row or whatever. I would have it just on save go ahead and turn that into a function that gets called when you save these things. That way, if you've got some process that's trying to clean stuff up, that way we have a way to like redo and update the embedding for that particular row.
Yeah. Because you would have to regenerate the embeddings, because the embeddings would change technically. Interesting. So there's a lot to think about here, and we're gonna unpack all of those things to think about maybe on the 20th when we do our show. So I'm gonna call it for now. But this was fun because I for a couple of reasons. One, I think it helps me to better understand how you're navigating using an LLM for Django. And then we kind of talked about like some of those like little tips and tricks that we pull out of doing this stuff. Like, I have always been afraid of migration files. And just the fact that like AI is just writing them, I'm like, well, wait a minute. If AI is writing them, like it can't be like some hashed thing that we've got to like sit here and figure out. It's like, what is it? Where are the migrations? Yeah. Like I should be able to go and say like, okay, we did this SRT segment thing. I should be able to go in and like look at this. I'm not going to modify it. I should have just did BAT instead of opening up NeoVim, but I can be able to go and look and see like what it actually made and like read it. Like, cool, it did this thing. I think something else that's really interesting in this is that there's been an active conversation in AI about having with like Postgres about annotating and having a schema for your, or like having like schema definitions and descriptions and stuff for your data in the database. That's just like kind of done really well by AI when using Django. I noticed that, like, what am I doing? Wrong window, this one. Like when we went here and we did list table spaces and we like, we don't see the actual like descriptions here. I'm trying to remember how you do that. Like maybe it is like table spaces or list or described domains, list table spaces. Nah, I got to figure out how to actually go in and look at this, but I'm pretty sure like those descriptions that it wrote exist in these columns here. I should be able to look at these columns and see how like have it actually look and tell me what those are. And the nice thing about that is that means I don't have to like invest in yet another tool to be like, hey, go and make sure that all of my columns are defined are defined with descriptions. So that's nice. I'm trying to think, was there anything else? I'm gonna like officially wrap up my thoughts on the 20th because there will be a lot. Oh, I know what I got to do while we're here because it just makes sense to. It absolutely makes sense to. And I don't know if this is something for Django TV or not, but YT DLP, what was...
You going back to that first one?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought about practicing on that or like running this through the other day. It felt very meta.
It's like, would this technically be a valid file for Django TV since it's a live stream of doing work on Django?
Could be. I don't think that much about it, to be honest with you. But if it's Django content, that's usually kind of the bar. But, you know, Django kind of has a lot of talks that aren't just Django, too. So
Yep.
it's... and make sure, please, that you get, commit, and push your changes to your branch and clear your memory.
Yeah.
So that when you start again.
You know what? Better. I'm going to exit Claude. And I won't do the continue all that. I'm going to do continue all that often. And then here, I want to see, it's adding that. Of course, it's adding that video because I just told it to. While that's running, the only thing we should actually add are the transcripts folder. Yeah, just the transcripts folder. So would help if I could spell. And then now
I don't ever actually use GHPRQ create. I use GH command all the time, but that's interesting. I just always push things and then get open and then do it, but that's handier.
and then let it Let it do its thing from in here.
Why's your Claude so tiny now?
Oh, because it's inside of NeoVim, so it's off to the side.
Okay.
It should just be running. And of course, it's going to give you like significantly more than you need. But what? And it falls on itself and says, we couldn't do it. We couldn't figure it out. So we created prmessage.md. And maybe prmessage.md can just be copied over because, Lord.
Now, what I tend to do is I will get, because again, I do it the more manual way, I guess, where I do a get push origin, the name of the branch, but then I'll take whatever ID and I will tell Claude to like go ahead and update the title and maybe the pull request for number, paste that. And it does a pretty good job of like updating it, but it wants to add a plan and a bunch of other stuff I don't need.
If I ran this outside of NeoVim, it would just do like the one-liner command, which would add all of this. But then you can't edit it, and that's no fun. Sure. So this is good. There you go. Should have a pull request in there now. I don't know why it's stuck, but it should have a pull request. Did this finish? It did. So the thing that I'm interested in is, I guess, how does the manage file? Lord, have to. How do I know what all of the different manage? How do I list all the manage commands?
Just run python manage.py or just that. Just manage is fine. For anybody at home, that just manage is just doing all the Docker compose bits in front of it so that you just get stuff.
Yeah. Like there should be a command that does all of this. That does those three things. Because right now we're doing them all one by one. But it feels very much like it's gonna blow up in my hands if I do it that way. So I'm very much afraid to do that. Not necessarily afraid to do that, but like
you'll need to get rid of the .py. It won't know what to do with that.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
There should be another. Oh, it's not in there. It's in captions. That's okay. Let me see if I can remember this. So step 1 would be load captions. Load captions, and then captions file. I don't know which file it is. That isn't. Wait, there's only 2. There should be 4.
I don't know where you downloaded the latest.
Oh no, I didn't do the transcription yet. I just did the download. That's why. I don't. There is no tool for that. UV run scripts transcribe.py, and then that's going to be in conference talks because I don't have a better name for it. It's not in there.
Did you move it? It may just be in the root.
It is in the root. Because I remember I had to move the others. Okay, so UV run.
So we just didn't put like a wrapper around running that command, which we could do so that it puts it in the right folder.
Yeah, well, and I didn't know what the right folder was. I think I just made a folder called, whatever.
I think I put it in videos before, but I don't think I baked that anywhere. I think it was just me passing paths.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so I will run this. I will get this added, and I will also add this recording because I want to use this to find interesting points in the transcripts for the 20th. I think that's an interesting idea of like, now that we have these transcripts, like what can we actually do with this? And a part of this is like, hey, look at these transcripts that we've added. Can you run through the SRT data and find interesting points? Now, obviously we could do that without the database. I'm going to do that without the database because I feel like Claude will throw up several times if I try to tell it to connect to the database when I could just tell it to read the SRT file. But I think that this is a thing that I'm very much interested in, and that like a colleague of mine recently was like, I've done something like this in the past for work with OpenSearch, where it's all like CLI stuff, and he was asking about it, and it was like, oh, I don't, I'm just over here playing around with transcripts because I can, like
What
yeah.
tends to work for me is I will do like a just psql or whatever. I'll make a just like make a recipe for it in that just command, and then I'll
Yeah.
have that actually use my database URL, and then Claude will just run it, connect to it, not really care how it got there, but it will know how to interact with psql once it's there.
True. I just figure like having it read a singular file and maybe coming up with points is probably easier than having to like run a bunch of queries against the database across one file, across one YouTube ID. But I also think that that's like a world where like I know exactly what I'm looking for in Django TV. If I wanted to, for instance, the PyCon US CFP is coming up, and I wanted to figure out like what are some good topics that were talked about at DjangoCon this past year. Like I could now do that, and then I could search in that and say, well, like, what are some interesting talking points from within those areas? Not saying that people should do something like that. I think have a good idea to talk about something, but maybe you have an idea and you just want to know like what other people have said about it, and that's where like the searching would be really cool, because now I could search across all of Django TV for PG Vector, for instance. And maybe get, I don't know what I would get now. I think I did this before where I just typed in PG Vector, and I think I got like one video. Let's see.
Yeah, I've got like a whole quote system on Django TV that I've just not enabled because I hadn't fully baked. Like I was running what we've been doing with transcripts. I was running that on my laptop, and it just didn't scale as well as what some of the newer models do now. So now I feel a little bit more confident that I could load these up and do cool things like give me the 6 best quotes or 20 best quotes of this this talk, and rank them. And even when you tell it to rank it and tell it, like, it's getting like structured data out of LLMs. Like LLMs can do that really, really well, or like out of some kind of text.
Yeah.
And so telling it like do a summary or find 7 quotes, rank them 1 through 10, you get really interesting results. And there's a certain level that it may be 7 and above is pretty consistent amongst hundreds of them. But that's kind of one of the features and one of the reasons I wanted to do this was to hang out with you and stream, but then also like give me a good excuse to like finish out the infrastructure to do this. And if anybody stumbles on this and you're writing, I've not seen a lot of people writing about what their pipelines look like. They tend to go to like N8N or some other tool, and it's a very visual process. But I don't see, mostly I see somebody comes up with like Python 1, Python 2 file, Python 3, and they just run them in order, and they'll call that a pipeline, versus like somebody has to have some, clever, not overthought solution for like, run these things in a step that's not, pulling in polars or pulling in like a data science framework, which really we just want these things to run, with some kind of state in a certain order. I can do that with like a task queue or something, but we just really haven't like had an excuse to have to build one yet.
I remember yesterday I forgot how you were looking it up, but you were talking about some stats of some sort, and I was like, you can get some of this from the database itself when it's not yelling at it. I wanted to see what it was going to use, but you can do things like the tables. Oh Lord. Okay, we're just gonna no. Claude has a headache. Needs to go home. Needs to go.
You got to clear it. Did you clear it?
I opened up a new one. Like in my head, I was like, opening up a new one should be good enough. No, if I do PGCLI, I want to say that I can't remember all of the. This is where I fail because there's PG stat statement, but PG stat statement is like it's PG stat like you need a thing. What is the? I'll have to find the command. I said I was going to do that last time, but I know that there are like 5 commands that you can just run that would give you like, hey, what were the last like 10 commands that were run? Who ran them? Like, what were the average speeds of each of these? I mean, like, I'm not doing this. I wanted to do this in the actual thing instead of coming in here and looking up the query statistics, because this is great in that it'll tell me about the last command that I ran or the last command that Ivan ran. But something like this where it's like trying to find the transcript IDs and we can see that, but it's not necessarily the best for telling me like, hey, what did we do today and like who did it. We don't have enough data available for the AI insights yet, so that's not fun. And all the current queries are PGCLIs right there. So, never mind on that. All right, let's wrap this up so I can transcribe this and get this in the database. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us again. 8 days from today, November 20th, we are going to be on the Ivan channel. That is youtube.com/Ivan_IO. I should just go to the page. youtube.com/Ivan_IO. Boom. The 20th. Nope. Stop talking. The 20th. That's this one. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be live. We're gonna be talking about what we learned kind of in this process. We're also gonna be talking about maybe some of the relationship between Django, Postgres, AI, and more. And a lot of the talking points we are going to get through me playing around with the little toy app that we built in our little example. And then we're going to feed some of that to AI and we'll search around with it. We'll play around with it. And ultimately, I'm hoping that it will teach people a thing or two about Django, about Postgres, about working with text. Yeah, that's it. Jeff, you got anything? Always clear your model.
It took us a while, but we finally got there today. So, we hopefully we both learned a little bit about prompting. So.
I would love to see this, something like the search thing. Not necessarily. I guess last question, if you can answer quickly, like seeing the difference in all of the searches, do you feel like there was one clear winner? Or maybe like one strategy that you would use for like Django TV?
No, only because you were doing so many different types of searches. I'd want to look into the vector search a little more because I feel like there could be something interesting there. But I feel like that still might be more like augmenting a better search. So I might want to do that vector search first to build up context and then, either feed that into search or feed that into like an LLM. So yeah, I feel like we're doing 2 different paths, but maybe it just hasn't clicked yet on how to really utilize vectors.
Yeah. Well, and I think that like I said, to me, the answer, I would probably go with like hybrid search between trigram search and vector search. I think trigram search, you're going to get everything that you're going to get from full text search already. So maybe you don't need both. I think if you do trigram search with vector search and you heavily index on the trigram side, but you use vector to grab the stuff, like, again, show me a Flask example if you don't have a Django example. Like, I would love to see that. I think you could catch those, but I would also like to see this at a larger scale. We were talking about that blog post where someone kind of, they called us out directly. They said, PG Vector is always great in isolation with like the 500, embeddings that we made, or I think it was like 399 embeddings or something like that we made for this, versus having all of the DjangoCon videos from the last 5 years, other conferences, YouTube videos that might pop up, podcast episodes that might pop up. At that point, you're reaching millions of vectors that you're or millions of embeddings that you're searching through. The performance side might start to suffer. So I think that like that is a test that I think we would only be able to do, maybe not like in production, but like on production level data.
Yeah, I bet you the Django TV database isn't that bad, but like if you're YouTube, sure.
Oh,
But
100%.
most projects, even if it's like company documentation or, you know, I I don't know. I read the limitations of that, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be really nice to have that problem, to like have to solve. Like
Yeah.
you do two of them and have every million you split up into a different database. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I mean the splitting up into different databases and things like that, that is the solution. Is you do different searches across different places depending on what's needed, and you only search a segment of those files. Something data warehouses, something PG Lake. Like there's a whole bunch of data lake stuff happening right now with Iceberg, and like it's all designed to make finding the needle in the haystack better with vector searches and things like that. But I agree with you. I think that everyone writes the blog post thinking that the implementation has to be a Netflix-sized problem, when the majority of sites, the majority of projects out there are just not. They're probably not even Django TV-sized problems. Like probably significantly less data, or significantly less data to dig through. Like, yeah, give me vector search across like one person's medical history if you're doing all of the medical records.
Right.
I don't need to search all of the medical records. I just need to search that client's.
Plus, I'd almost argue that we should probably just take the raw text itself and not the SRT files, and then clump those into, each vector is going to be 1,000 or 10,000 characters. So, what we're doing, I think we could generate, but I don't even think we get to 1 million just with our 1,000 talks.
You can do that. One of the reasons why I did choose OpenGemma, I don't think I talked about it. I think it was like written in one of those MD files. OpenGemma has a larger token count than some of the others. So when you're looking at creating a dimension for, like, if you're using Olama, if you have a 5,000 word, research paper or whatever, it's only going to give you to what it can hold in tokens. And the token limit is incredibly small. So using the, the LLM mini stuff from like the token, or not token, what is it? The sentence tokens thing. All of those basic ones that came out like 2 or 3 years ago are designed to work on sentences, are designed to work on tweets. They're not designed to work on blog posts. So everything gets truncated. So like you're only going to find stuff in the first like few hundred words. OpenGemma actually has a larger token limit. So you could actually ingest the entire transcript. I don't know what 2,000 tokens looks like in the realm of a conference talk. Like it might be half.
That's pretty big. That's pretty big. But yeah, I think I would like just create a chunk table maybe, and then chunk those up. And then whether you decide that's 1,000 tokens or 2,000 tokens, then I would probably do that instead of like each SRT segment, because they're so small. You get just such a little bite-sized thought.
The only reason I like the SRT thing, and again, it's a trade-off in performance, is having where it was said, like down to the words. Like that's kind of nice. I can just be like, Oh, again, click on that, and then when it opens up that video, it takes me straight to when talking happened, and it's saying the thing that I clicked on that I wanted it. I want to go straight into. You don't get that context necessarily if you just fully chunk everything.
That's exactly why I want it too, because I want you to be able to click on the quote and go directly to the video. But I want both. I want the SRTs too, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's easier to work with the raw text, and then I can probably go from that back to the right SRT segment. But we'll see. That's
Yeah.
another challenge.
Another challenge for another day. Kojo, you literally came in as we were wrapping up. Thank you for joining us. Also, go check your Discord messages. I sent you a message about a thing. I'll see you tomorrow. But that's gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna get out of here. Jeff's gonna get out of here. We will talk to you later. All right. See ya.
All right. See ya. Thanks.